Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Shadow Bloodrager build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. So the Bloodrager is a modded class made by VahnSmash, and what's cool about this is it combines the Barbarian with the Sorcerer. So you get some spell casting and you can rage. There's a bunch of different versions of this, which is very cool, coming with a number of different subclasses, but we'll be focusing on the Shadow Bloodline today. So with the Bloodrager, you get yourself the unarmored defense, adding Constitution modifier to your armor class, similar to the Barbarian. You get fast movement speed from increased movement speed, as well you have your bloodline, which picks different. You get to pick that obviously as your subclass and gives you different effects depending on which one you choose. As well as you get your blood rage here, which deals additional 2 damage with melee and improvised weapons, gain resistance to physical damage and advantage on strength checks and saving throws. So we're going with the Shadow Bloodline. I also really like the Verdant Bloodline. I did a build previously covering this one where you root yourself into the ground. It's cool, but with the Shadow Bloodline, we get Shadow Vision. So while Blood Raging, you get Dark Vision range of 24 meters and immune to blindness effects caused by magical darkness. You can see where this is going. It becomes very strong. And for our ability scores, 16 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 16 Charisma is going to be where we're going. And Charisma is our main spellcasting modifier. Although instead of Strength, you can build around Dexterity, but Dexterity will give us a higher armor class. And you can always just chug a Strength potion if you really want to maximize your Strength damage. Now, what this is going to look like is it's a bit different than your normal Barbarian. I'll be covering gear at the end of this video, and I'll show off some combat so you get an idea of what it's all about. At level 2, we get our Blood Sanctuary, so get advantage on saving throws against spells that you or an ally cast. This reaction is available even while not Blood Raging and has no action cost. Level 2, Safety. Level 3, we get our first spells, and we get the ability to cast spells while Blood Raging. We also get our subclass feature, the Darkness Within. At the end of each turn while Blood Raging, you create a pool of magical darkness around you, blinding creatures without dark vision. If you have Shadow Frenzy, these pools of darkness will be 1 meter larger and persist for 1 turn longer. And then here we also get the Armor of Agathis. So this is pretty strong. You're going to see where this goes in terms of its strength. So for the first level, I also really like to have Fog Cloud for a bit of extra, being able to summon that in and cause heavily obscured areas, similar to your Dark Vision. But Shield is also extremely useful, and I always like to take Magic Missile because being able to apply force damage to targets from range and be able to get a guaranteed hit is really nice, especially if there's a few enemies with only 1 health point left. At level 4, we get to choose another spell here, and you can even go with like a Thunder Wave too for the pushback, which is really nice. Also using Absorb Elements can be pretty effective, but we're going to go with our Fog Cloud here just for extra survivability, and we're going to take an ability score improvement. Now, if you want to focus more on casting, go with higher Charisma. If you want to go with more melee weapons, go higher Strength or Dexterity. This really just depends how you want your armor class to look, so we can go higher in the Dexterity just for better survivability's sake. At level 5, we get our extra attack, big power spike here, and we get to pick another spell. I'm going to go with Thunder Wave just because that pushback can be extremely useful for knocking enemies off of ledges. At level 6, we get the Greater Blood Rage, so you can apply the effects of a beneficial spell you know to yourself without using an action or a bonus action. If this spell applies a status effect, it will not require concentration to maintain and will last until Blood Rage ends. This still consumes a spell slot, so you basically get a free cast whenever you go into Blood Rage. Pretty nice. And we also get ourselves two more spells, a class passive and a subclass feature, the Strength of Shadows. When you confirm a critical hit with a melee weapon while Blood Raging, you deal additional cold damage equal to half the damage done. You also have resistance to cold damage, and at level 12 it becomes immunity. Very powerful. And we get Misty Step, so we obviously have some pretty nice spells there. And I would recommend taking Darkness. This is just a really effective spell to have, especially with this build in particular, because it can just be extremely useful. Hold Person being another very beneficial spell because we can hit crits off on that. We get to choose some class passives, so there's a few really fun ones. The Step Up gives you a reaction to jump after a target. This will give you more reactions equal to half your Dexterity modifier, up to 3 per round. While Blood Raging, your limbs elongate, increasing the reach of your melee and unarmed attacks by 1 meter, which is really nice. The Best Offense gives you higher critical hit chance, adding Strength modifier to Intimidation skill checks. Not super huge. Once per long rest, when you fail a saving throw, you can use your reroll. This is basically like Indomitable from the fighter. Not super useful. I think that the best one is either to go with like the Savage Casting here, add your Constitution modifier to spell attack rolls and saving throw DC, and advantage to hold concentration, or the Unnatural Reach, which will elongate your... I really like the extra range on your attacks. That can be very useful. At level 7, we get our Feral Instinct +3 to Initiative and Cannot Be Surprised. And we get to pick another spell here with some really good choices like our Agonizer Scorcher, Snarlix Snowball Storm for some Mistress if you have Mistress spells downloaded. Otherwise, Mirror Image is really nice to increase your armor class by 9. This can give you a lot of more survivability. At level 8, we get to choose another spell. I also like enlarge because this is just, you know, it's enlarge. Getting huge is pretty fun. Web is nice too, but it requires concentration, making it a bit tricky. Enhanced leap can also be kind of a nice spell to go with. It's your choice here, but even absorb elements has some merit. And for our ability score improvement, taking up our charisma or dexterity is a good choice. Also, we can go with the dual wielder perk to give ourselves a +1 to armor class while wielding melee weapons in both hands. And I'll show you where this can be pretty crazy. At level 9, we get ourselves the Step Through Shadow, so you can teleport from one shadow to another. And we also get the Hunger of Hadar. This gives you cold and acid damage and can blind targets that are within it. This does require concentration, but it is a pretty powerful spell. And then we get some level 3 spells with some very good ones, like obviously Haste being one of the most impactful spells. Counterspell being nice too, being able to shut down enemy casters can be extremely useful. And there's a whole bunch of other spells here that are just fun to use. So I personally like having Haste, Fireball, Lightning Bolt, or Counterspell. Those are my choices. You can also have someone else haste yourself, as you don't if you don't want to hold your concentrations, but this can give you increased armor class, double your movement speed. And then we'll take a Lightning Bolt just for the ability to hit down in a straight line, which is really nice. At level 10, we get to choose another spell, and I think Fireball just makes sense here. And for our class passive, we get another choice here. We can get additional reactions. We can get this reaction, which will spend your movement speed and jump after them, which is pretty nice. And also Savage Casting can make sure that we do hit our spells, which is really useful because adding to spell attack rolls and saving throw DC can be really nice to get that +3 or +4 to it. And at level 11, we get ourselves yet another spell, and I would recommend probably taking Counterspell or any of the prior spells that you find really useful. Even Tidal Wave, if you have Mistress spells, can be really effective because it creates water for your Lightning Bolts to get double damage. And then at level 12, we get ourselves our subclass feature Shadow Spree, so using Step Through Shadows now triggers Dark Within. And on your first turn of Blood Rage, you may use Step Through the Shadows without spending a bonus action. Killing blows made while Blood Raging will restore one of your steps and refresh that. So we can become really useful at just taking enemies out and teleporting around. So that can become really, really fun. And I think Tidal Wave is probably a good spell to go with. In the class passive, we can go with our, I guess the choices here for the best ones, probably like the Step Up, giving you an extra reaction. And then for our feat, I think it's best to take our charisma up or dexterity, depending on what you want, higher armor class or higher spell casting. So you can see we got ourselves some spells here, and what this is going to look like. So we're going to go with I would recommend having light armor of some sort, or I guess a clothing option of some sort, I mean. And one of the best ones is actually the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation. This will give us 25 armor class, which is quite nice. Early game, you got the Graceful Cloth or the Mighty Cloth, and even the Cat's Grace version of that's pretty nice too. If we go with the Ballast Armor, our armor class will be roughly the same, so you don't really need the unarmored armor class boost, but it's nice obviously to have. So one of those two there. If you want the I guess even Robe of the Weave could work here, because this will increase our spell save DC and give us that increased armor class, but this will give us another reaction. Just really depends. Robe of the Weave is probably the better choice here, as funny as that is. Also, the Mask of Soul Perception can be nice, but you can also go with the Hood of the Weave too if you want to increase your spell save DC. Cloak of Protection, Boots of Protection, and then the Ring of Protection. I'm also going to use the Amulet of Greater Health. And then for our extra ring, I would recommend having the either the Crypt Lord ring or the Killer Sweetheart for that free critical hit. And for our weapons, Crimson Mission in the main hand is important because this gives us additional damage when we attack, and they'll take additional 7 piercing damage. With that, I guess the best it's really up to you between the Robe of the Weave or the Ballast Armor, but if we're going to use piercing weapons, the Ballast Armor just ends up being better because that 7 damage turns to 14. And then in the offhand, we can go with the Blade of First Blood, Orin's other dagger. However, if you have Shar's Spear of the Evening, this is actually really good in the offhand. This we want in the main hand because this will give us the piercing damage. But having this in the offhand, even though we don't get the fighting style, we do get Shard's Darkness, which is a free darkness that we can do every turn, and we get an attack that deals darkness. We become immune to blindness too with this, but we're already immune to blindness, so that's, I guess, just a whole other thing. But it's really nice for setting up extra darkness. So you can go with this in the offhand. It looks funny using a short sword and then a spear in the offhand, but this actually works pretty well together. So I'll show you guys what this looks like in combat. So with our haste up as well as mirror image, we can get our armor class up to 33, which is really nice because that just gives us a lot of extra survivability. I'm going to solo this here just to give you guys an idea of what you can do, but it is quite strong. So we'll get into position to be able to thunderwave some people to their demise, and we'll see where the best angle for that is, and we'll see if we can get some knocked off. There we go, perfect. And we'll start things off with that, and we didn't get any off. Unfortunate. So we'll just get into the fight right away. Now we rolled a good initiative, and we're going against a ton of enemies, so when in doubt, the best choice is to Hunger Vidar it out. So we can actually hit quite a few with this. So we'll drop this, and we got counterspelled. Of course we did. So we did a bit of damage there. That was not ideal. We lose our action, and may as well just Blood Rage now and hope that we can survive this turn, because this is not going to go very well for us. But I guess we'll just have to roll with the punches here. You can't always win. So we got our shadowy Blood Rage here, and then we can also, I guess, you get the greater Blood Rage to be able to apply an effect to us. So we can even just go with like Armor of Agathis here to apply to ourselves, or Misty Step our way out of things, even haste ourselves or enlarge ourselves. But however, we want to use our Hunger Vidar for concentration, so most of these won't really apply. But we can stack ourselves Armor of Agathis here just for a little bit extra survivability, because we're going to get hit really hard here. So I'll end my turn, let them pick away at me, and we blinded them, which is nice. So this gives us some extra options. And then here's our step up. I wouldn't recommend using this right now, because we'll be jumping out of our darkness that we want to hold, because it's causing them to get a bit confused. So it is quite nice to have. So somehow, with everyone taking their turns, we only lost about 12 health, and we were able to return fire on with a one of our psionic backlashes, which took an enemy out. And then on top of that, we were also able to use our Armor of Agathis, so that was great. Now we got two turns here, so we can hit them with a tidal wave, which will knock a lot of them prone, which is really nice. So we can start that off just to make sure that we don't get counterspelled, and then we blast them with that. And then now we can just drop our Hunger of Vidar and try to get as many people as possible in it. This is tricky because the range is not perfect there, but what we'll do is we'll drop our Hunger of Vidar and we'll just bail out of there. So we also have the step through shadows, which is cool, so we can teleport our way out and then end off our turn in darkness again. So we'll just end off over here, and then we have our darkness that pops up, and they're stuck in the darkness, and they're just going to run around trying to find us, but sometimes it works out really well. So they're going to slow down because the Hunger Vidar makes it difficult terrain, and they're just going to continually take damage from this. So this is even better, because you can see there we can get some crazy numbers: 18, 12, 12, 7. It's really nice. Getting that extra damage off is super useful. And then we can also thunderwave them back into it, so that's huge. We'll hit them with a Psionic Backlash, which took them out. Perfect. That's perfect, exactly according to plan. And we're back over here, and we can actually run out of this again, and then go with, we're all out of level 3 spells, so we can't drop fireballs. Unfortunately, I used the upcasted Armor of Agathis, which was not probably the best choice looking back on things. But we'll use our Thunder Wave here and just push them all back, so we can keep them in this for a bit longer. And that actually took out a couple of them, so that was perfect. And then if you see anyone that's got really low health, they're a prime candidate to get hit with the Magic Missile, so that's another really good option that we got for combat. Because Magic Missile can take out some enemies pretty good, honestly. I'll be honest, if they got low health and you have Call the Weak, you can just shred them down. So I guess most of these will get taken out by our darkness here, so we're going to go over here and actually set up with another attack. So we can just go ahead here and let's use normal melee attack and get our crits off, which finish them off in just one foul sweep. And we don't have enough movement to move, but we'll just use our bow attack to attack whoever has the highest health. So they all will be taking double damage from cold, which is awesome because Hunger Vidar will do that. And then we'll just end things, get that darkness there. 16, perfect. They're still vulnerable to cold damage. I don't know why he walked away from me, but we'll just roll with that. And I'll just show you off this, because when we're in the darkness, I find that we don't get hit as much. And yeah, that cold damage is just driving them crazy. We also have our shield perk to give ourselves a nice block. You use your reaction doing that, but they're going to jump into the Hunger Vidar for whatever reason and continue to throw attacks at us. That's fine, we can block a lot of these. Luckily, we have pretty good armor class. That 24 almost took him out. That's the nice thing about Tidal Wave. Even though it's using it for level 3 spells, you can sometimes create that double damage so that they get taken out by that, which is really nice. And then we'll run back into the fray of things and use a big, see if we can get a big pushback. So create water set up so we'll take double cold damage, and then we'll just push everyone or if we can get them pushed off a ledge, that's more ideal. I guess we'll just run over here, and yeah, we can get at least one knocked off the two knocked off the ledge. Perfect. They ragdolled off of that. That was funny. And then if there's ones with low health, we can just go for them. There's just one enemy left, so we can just finish them off with this bow attack. So yeah, that is the Shadow Bloodrager. I don't know why my character's breakdancing there, but yeah, that is the Shadow Bloodrager made by VahnSmash. Really fun class. I like the Barbarian. I like spellcasting. And what's better than to be able to do both of them? The Shadow has a lot of benefits, especially if you go with the Ballast Armor and set up with a bunch of different darkness spells. You can become pretty unstoppable. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video.